maintain. So today we will be exploring why cultural literacy is important. And so I hope that everyone will be able to enjoy and glean from this information. I will be specifically focusing on a new area, which is called Four Ways of Thinking. Okay, so primarily, this is needed, I believe, in leadership for us all to be able to understand how others view the world, other world views, global views, Christian views, and certain point of view. So this is what this workshop is going to target. We don't typically have enough time in these workshops, so this is basically just a pretty broad overview of the information that I'd like to share with you. I teach this course, which is a almost three month course, so there's quite a bit of information to learn throughout. So let's get started on this information of what you will be involved in learning. First, I just kind of like to go over some of the specifics of why cultural literacy is important. We also refer to this as cultural competency. Also, a lot of people refer to it as diversity. I tend to focus more on the understanding of this, not necessarily defining what diversity means, because I believe each individual has their own concept of what diversity might mean. So, this workshop is focusing on improving communication among people within different racial and ethnic cultural backgrounds and various minority groups and backgrounds. This includes allowing us to learn more about verbal and nonverbal communication and behaviors that exist. And I think this is all important for leaders to know and to be able to have those skills in order to mentor others, whether it be in the workplace, in the community, and throughout the world. So we're going to talk about a little bit of communication styles. Typically, we go into, in my longer course, we go into certain rituals that take place in different cultures, tradition, and we also explore areas of mass media and family structure, religion, social aspects, and the arts and literature. But today, we don't have time to do all that. So I'm giving you the speedy version of that. I think it'll be enough to get us all started. So right now I have a quick video clip that I would like to show you, and my fingers don't want to work quite fast enough, but that happens. You know, it's not about perfection; it's about practice. So that's what we're doing. Okay, I think I have my video set up. Maybe not. Maybe I closed out of it. Okay, bear with me, folks. I was hoping to bypass some of the. Oh, it's great. Okay, it looks like it's ready to go. Maybe. Students, are you ready to get started? Well, I really enjoyed this class. Elements of intercultural communication. It's learning various ways of how we communicate and how we do it effectively. We want to be intellectually attuned to different cultures. Why is this important? It's important because we want to be astute in understanding the ways in which we can approach appropriate communication and diversity with other individuals. cultural literacy is extremely important for both the individuals and to our entire society, the society that we live in. You know, as individuals, when we are culturally literate, it helps us to successfully interact with individuals from a variety of backgrounds, including um, First Nations, different ethnic backgrounds. What about our individual communities, small town living, large city living? What about homeschooling? Many students have been homeschooled and they are introduced to the world once they go to public school, public universities, etc. We need to learn how to understand and to take ownership to our cultural beliefs and our practices, and to understand other practices that may be normal for you and I, but for someone else, absolutely, our lives might be different. We want to understand the context of the many cultural differences, and that's what we're going to investigate during this particular semester. Cultural literacy also helps us to develop and really associate skills in communicating and, more importantly, self-reflection. So let's take a look. Let's look at some of our research that has really caused us to look at how we think about things differently. Throughout this course, you'll hear me use a term called the 4 ways of thinking. That means investigating our values and how we think about our values. And what about our past and our future values? How do we interpret our future and incorporate new ways of thinking? Additionally, how do we incorporate new systems of thinking? We're going to also take a look at that as far as from a cultural viewpoint of diversity and acceptance. And finally, systematic ways of thinking about new theories, approaches, etc. So I hope you're all geared up to move forward. I certainly am. So let's move on to our class and to our discussion. Okay, folks. So I think the reason why I wanted to utilize this is I think it gives a quick overview of the dynamics of what this is all about in a three-minute overview. So now let's move on to today's agenda. We will talk about why cultural literacy really matters. We're going to talk about how the effects of leaders and mentors need this to be culturally competent. We're going to talk about those 4 ways of thinking I mentioned. We're going to talk about then some of the takeaways and applications, and then have a Q&A afterwards. So if you remember, I did give you a little bit of homework 2 weeks ago, and since this time, I think you should have been able to identify with that. So let's just quickly run through and see what you have come up with in identifying the type of leader that you are. Let's see. How about Portia? Are you there today? I think I saw you. Are you there, darling?
I am.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, great. How are you?
Good, good, good. So, what did you come up with as far as identifying what type of leadership style you typically have?
Well, um,
Do you remember what it was? It was are you a servant leader,
yeah,
trans-
uh-huh.
transformational leader? Um,
The thing, it was tricky for me because I felt like I could be a part of all of them.
yes.
I have multiple type of leadership skills, and all of them has an imperative part. So I couldn't really just narrow them down. I feel like I had different parts of those leaderships types that I could be and that I can also incorporate in my leadership.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. So, just to kind of help you move through this, for example, with me, I feel that I'm a transformational leader, meaning that I have to learn new skills in order to make sure that I am proficient in being a strong leader. And so, I think you might be in that same area. Oftentimes, as leaders, we are placed in leadership positions without the skills necessarily needed to really navigate through that. So we kind of self-learn leadership, and so that is what's very important as far as some of the skills and the skill sets of a transformational leader. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's go with Michelle. Either Michelle, whichever gets to the mic first.
Okay, hi.
Hi, Michelle.
Um, how you doing?
Good, good, darling. Which one did you come up?
So for some reason, I favored more the servant. So I prioritize the needs of others before my own. And the second one was coaching,
Uh-huh.
helping others. And then the third one was democratic. And last one was transformational because I don't think I have a clear vision
Ah,
to inspire others.
okay. Well, that's great though, because you were able to identify it and absolutely, sometimes we're not in maybe full-time leadership, and so we have to be very versatile and move into different directions. Thank you so much for sharing. How about Archimore? Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, good, thank you. So, in your leadership skills and your journey, which one do you think fits you best?
I felt like I was a like Michelle, I was a mix between servant and coaching because I have a tendency to prioritize others ahead of myself, but I'm never really the person to take charge of a situation. I'm more the person who keeps morale going and it tries to do the best to get the task at hand rather than the person who's giving orders. So I think that's why I tend to lean with servant and coaching because I'm not really the person who inspires or like leads direction. I'm the person who likes to keep everyone on the path to keep going.
Okay, great. I love it. Did you feel that this was helpful as far as helping you to identify that?
I definitely think it was helpful because I've been told that like for a long time I have certain characteristics of a leader, but I don't have I tend to like limit myself in the ability to take charge. So I felt like as having seeing like a verbal way of categorizing it made sense. I'm like, oh, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses?
I got it. All right. Very nice. Okay. Well, due to time, I'm not going to call on anyone else right now, but if time permits, we'll get back to that. So now we want to understand a little bit more why leaders and mentors really need this. And we've kind of touched upon it already. So there are six main reasons. One is it helps to build trust and respect. Secondly, it improves communication. It helps to enhance team performance, supports equity and equality, inclusion, and then also it promotes personal growth. So even if as we were looking into our own type of leadership capabilities and skills, there's always room for personal growth. And so I think that's just vital. So let's just quickly speed through some of these. Building trust and respect means understanding and respecting cultural differences, helps people feel seen, heard, and valued. We hear this word so often about valued, and I think that in our society, that is very important for us to be able to value each other, our backgrounds, our heritage, our our world views, and to be able to have a place to have open communication for these type of subjects and topics. Secondly, it helps communication, of course. Cultural competence helps avoid misunderstandings. And I think in our world today, even in the whether it's from a social community standpoint, from a national standpoint or global standpoint, we are at a crossroads in being able to um, understand and to overcome misunderstandings and how we think about what other people are saying and how we actually take this in. The third one is it enhances team performance. As leaders and leading mentors, we need to understand the importance of team and team development and diversity within these teams. And with this, it helps us to really navigate the strong points and those dynamics that will help to bring out and enhance individual gifts and talents and skills and help to encourage innovation in others. Next, number four, support this inclusion. I mean, we're hearing this so much in the workplace and in our communities about this need to be inclusive. Now, this is touchy in certain worldviews, Christian worldviews. These areas of inclusivity become very challenging. So we need to learn ways that we can recognize whatever the barriers are so we can talk through them, see them differently through a different lens, and to learn how to advocate for each other. Sometimes, whether we agree with lifestyle choices, and backgrounds. So, our goal is to find ways and opportunities to better understand. Number five, strengthens mentorship and relationships. Okay, so in this course, we're talking about leaders and building leaders and mentorship. And I think they go hand in hand. We are all often in one of the seats. We're either being the leader or we're being the mentor or the mentee. And so with that, we need to understand that there is a vast cultural background in our world and in our community. And we need to allow ways and opportunities and conversations for us to personalize and to make sure that we're establishing relevant conversations and ways to guide and support these different areas. Number six, promote personal growth. And of course, that's what it's all about. If we are willing to change and to be lifetime learners, if you will, we will be able to help foster empathy and this self-awareness. Even at my age, I'm really getting up there in those numbers. And I must admit, there have been times throughout my life, throughout my career, where I've had to reinvent myself, whether it be in the workplace, primarily in the workplace, but even moving from, university life into adulting, into marriage, into parenting. All of these things allow us to engage and to become a little bit more empathetic. When we grow, we can also be a little bit more sympathetic towards others. So the next portion of the homework that we kind of talked about and I sent out to you was more of just a self-evaluation of who we are and who our friends are. Usually it's through our friends and those close relationships where we are able to understand the whys of where our values come from. And so I think oftentimes, for example, with me, I was born in Los Angeles, California. Of course, it's very diverse, a diverse community. In the neighborhood that I grew up was primarily Black African American neighborhood, and I was that was my surrounding. So most of my friends, close friends, would have been, if you go back to that chart, would have been in that first category, which would have been of my same ethnicity and racial background. What I did find as I matured and went through and gained responsibility in the workplace and university life, my friends were changing and evolving. And so those categories were changing. And so it's becoming a lot more multicultural. Now, at this age, my lifestyle and my friends, my closest of friends, um, surprisingly, are not of my same ethnicity. Most of my best friends are not Black folks because of the area that I've grown up in and how I've evolved into different areas. And so I have been able to really dig deep into finding out about different cultures. And then, of course, me living in Asia, in China for over a decade, that certainly did change my perspective of those friends categories. So let's just call upon a couple of you because we're running out of time, of course. Let's start with Allie. Are you there? Allie, on that chart, what was kind of your takeaway from that chart?
So I noticed I have friends that are kind of across the board. I have friends who are mixed races. I have friends who are fully white. I have friends who are fully Black. I have friends who are white and Black. I have friends who are white and Mexican. I have friends who are fully Mexican. And then I have friends who are white but of European descent. And so I feel like it's just kind of all over the place, which has kind of helped me broaden my worldview as well. Just because ethnically I'm white, but I have European descent. My dad's from Europe. And so it's kind of just helped me understand different worldviews from people who grew up in immigrant households like myself, or people who just have a long line of not white ethnicity.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so that exercise is really kind of, as I said, it might evolve. For me, when I was a university student, it has certainly changed. My chart has really changed from then to now. So it will evolve and change. And hopefully, with that, as we allow ourselves to get to know others and to let them into our space, we will be able to change the way that chart looks and embracing other cultures as well. How about Sia? Are you there? How about what was your takeaway?
I'm here. Um, it already kind of, I already knew I relatively had like a diverse like friend group, and I always have. Currently, like the two people I consider closest to me are of a different race than me. But growing up biracial, like I've always been like in diverse spaces.
Yes.
So, or I was bringing a lot of diversity to spaces as is,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they definitely teach me new things, but my favorite thing, to be honest, about having friends of like growing up different is I just realized how similar we really are. Like, like all in all, especially when it comes to like cultural things like dishes or behaviors and stuff, we're a lot similar than I feel like other people outside of us would think so.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's great. Yeah. It's interesting because my grandchildren are biracial, and so, that's another element as well, that their parents are navigating through and being aware of some new issues as well. So, someone told me, a friend of my older sister once said, the younger, as time goes on throughout the next generations, everyone's going to be diverse and mixed culture. So it's changing because we are accepting people differently. Thank you all for your contribution on that. So, what is cultural literacy? It's the ability to understand, respect, and effectively interact with people from diverse cultures, including awareness, sensitivity, and cultural differences. Why does it even matter? Well, it avoids miscommunication in specifically the workplace and global teams in education and healthcare. These things are certainly impactful. It builds empathy. We see this so often, as far as this empathy word is very important, reduces biases and fosters inclusive environments. So, the four ways of critical thinking that I've been mentioning are first of all, critically thinking about certain situations, globally thinking about it, reflective thinking, and then empathetic thinking. So these are areas that we need to embrace as we become leaders in understanding the dynamics of being culturally sensitive. We need to ask questions and avoid assumptions and stereotypes. We have to be careful of what media is directing and leading us to. And then, secondly, global thinking is the way we see and, each other and cultural perspectives, how we understand this interconnectedness throughout the world. We are globally closer in areas than ever before. In order to understand and see firsthand what individuals are going through, and then reflective thinking. Of course, we need to examine our own cultural identity and those biases. I mean, in different households, grandfolks, grandparents, older generations grew up differently than the younger generations. And there are still some areas out there of prejudice, and hopefully they are being reconciled. But, we have to ask how many of these backgrounds of our home and our lifestyles really shaped our worldviews. Oftentimes, that's where our values are derived from. This empathetic thinking process is this practical perspective, and we have to practice this. We have to learn to listen well and to seek to understand before judgment. I mean, oftentimes, if you really take your own self analysis as far as how many ways we judge others, you would really be amazed of how judgment sneaks in and causes us to become prejudiced about individuals. So that's definitely an area of that. We're talking about using this real life situation to navigate through things. So, speeding through all of this, I wanted to then just confirm that I did send out some information to you with more details and explanations and details that are involved in learning and broadening our cultural aspects. And so I encourage you to take a look at those and to take some self reflection over those, a lot of resources that you can also look upon, talking about from the aspect of leaders and why cultural competency is important, and then also from mentor standpoint, and then just general understanding. So yeah, so thank you so much for today. We made it through really quickly, but I wanted to just take a moment to give my accolades out to Archie Moore for his wonderful presentation of Leaders in Motion and the short video clip. So accolades to you. Thank you. You did a great job on that. I wanted to ask, what was your experience with that, Archie Moore?
Oh, like my previous experience, like recording myself vocal wise, or just like my just doing it that for the first time for you.
Yeah, for no, for the first time and going through this one that you just produced for this group.
Um, I would just say it was very daunting at first because I'm used to like doing like voice acting projects for myself, never really on like a grand scale like this. So to have someone ask me like, "Hey, we want to use your voice," it was kind of like surreal because it was like, oh, all those years of practicing and all those characters and like always like practice my speech, my diction, talking tones, make sure that I getting people invested, trying to find like the right turns of speech, the right speed, seeing that all come into play, like I had to do like 3 to 4 takes because I part of the first time I was just like so excited because I'm like, yes, this is what I've been training for. And then I got into the swing of things and I was like, huh, maybe I can do this at a higher level.
Yes, you can definitely, so, if ever you need an agent out there or something, because you are well on your way. And so, bravo to you. And, whenever we're doing something first, it's always a little, it's going to be challenging, but you did a great job. I just wanted to thank you for that. And then also, I'd like to move to Carol and just wanting to have some feedback from from you personally, Carol, and some of the takeaways from our public speaking. So we're looking at the first session was really focusing on becoming a leader and mentor, and so that was a Archimore's project. And then the next week we moved into public speaking and we just were able to touch upon it a little bit. But Carol was really in the midst of working on a real live speech. And so, Carol, share a little bit of your experience of just the recording process, etc. And yeah.
First of all, I was really taken aback because I didn't expect to be recorded when I went over, and I was just on the early points of putting together this talk, and which you had already given me some advice on putting the humor at the beginning and using some really good refining techniques. But I'll have to say I was really overwhelmed at having to talk off the cuff for the second part of my speech after the joke parts. In reviewing it, of course, I'm judging myself and my looks, etc. And it was a little intimidating the first time through. But I'll have to say, in watching it again today, and everything that you have already taught us, it really helped me greatly.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Carol. So, would anyone else like to include a takeaway that they got? I know I heard something. I saw something on from on one of the emails. Michelle or Michelle Bell. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it or to chime in. Are you with us there, Michelle? Or
Yeah, hear me.
hi, darling. Were you able to take a look at either of the little projects? Well, big projects. I hate to say little projects; they're big projects. Were you able to view any of them?
Yes, I was very impressive. Archimore, you are well on your way. And Saya's pictures were spot on, and even Carol, that was very. First of all, I know when you're doing something and then you're being taped, it can be a little. I don't know. It takes you back a little bit, but you did a great job.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How about Portia? Were you able to watch either of them?
Yes, it was very inspiring. I absolutely I just got full with Miss Carol's video. I actually have it saved and pinned so I can always go back and refer to it. Um, it was some very good high points there, as well as some real hilarious moments that kind of broke the video up to, you had that heartfelt moment, and you had that serious moment, you had the just a teaching moment. So I really enjoyed that. Archie, oh my God, like I can't wait to hear him on commercials. Like, the guy, the tall, dark guy that does the I think it's that insurance commercial.
Yeah,
You talking about the Allstate guy?
yeah, Allstate.
Yes, that is so you, Archie. Like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear your voice over. I was always interested in it, but I always thought my voice was like so immature and young sounding. So I kind of like felt like maybe cartoons, maybe, but your voice is amazing. And I just love Saya's mind. Saya's so sharp. And serious, but at the same time, she knows what she's talking about. So I just was excited for all of them.
Very nice. And Saya, can you share a little bit of your experience in um, producing the video?
Um, I thought it was nice having to work with another member, especially considering it was the other person who we both took your class, so we knew of each other was a nice experience.
Right.
And the actual gathering of the assets was, but I have never looked at so many images and video clips in my life until trying to find ones that suited this,
Yeah, yeah,
as well as going over the because Archie actually sent like multiple audio clips and then we just agreed on which one to use for the final video. And all of them are great. It was just one of them he agreed was better suited.
right, right. I love it. I love it. Well, as I said, great job for both of you, and please know everyone on the team will have some type of project that they'll be working on, because that's part of becoming a leader and also a mentor. Also, Saya, can you share, since we only have like 1 or 2 minutes left, share about your takeaway from the course, because you did take the complete course on elements of intercultural communication. So can you just kind of share what was most important in that experience for you?
I think what was most important about the like effective cultural communication is that like competency leads to better communication when interacting with those of a different culture than you. And it is incredibly crucial in today's society because of how it helps foster understanding and respect for one another across these different cultures.
Yes.
And that was definitely the biggest takeaway I had. And like with all our discussion boards, I could see how other people in the class were learning that kind of thing.
Are you there? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, my Wi-Fi is really bad right now, so
No
I don't know how
problem.
much of
No
that even
problem.
got through.
We just have a moment or so left, but I wanted to hear also from Archie before we close. Your takeaway from the class that you took.
I think my biggest takeaway from the class was one, I need to learn how to manage my time better. But in terms of like interacting with other people, it was just like always coming up with a state of open mind, because the different backgrounds, the different circumstances, and the different